Hey guys, how's it going? And we are back with season basically 2 of how to build a map. So I'm not going to actually write season 2 because it's literally been 2 years and it's not really any kind of continuation or anything. It's a whole fresh new map, whole fresh new idea. So today we're just going to be starting. So there's a few things that you want to consider when you decide to make a map of any kind, any type, puzzle, horror, adventure. This one's specifically going to be a little bit of adventure, a little bit of horror, because I always have some kind of little additional thing in a lot of my maps. But anyway, so the first thing you want to take into account is logistics, which maybe it's a huge word. Let's just call it limitations. So what are your limitations? How much time do you have? So do you want to spend hours and hours into this, or do you just want to spend, a week that you have off and you just want to try and get it done quickly? Next, you want to take into account is resources. Do you have somebody to make 3D models? Do you have a 3D model maker? That's a good important thing. Do you have, are you good at textures? Can you do textures? Do you have any additional software? Most things you can get for free, which is great, but you still have to learn how to use them. So I wouldn't really consider that a resource until you know how to use it. Next, we have skills. So skills is similar. So are you good at commands? Are you good at stories? Are you good at models, textures? What are you good at making? Because that would really determine what you're able to make. If you're not so good at commands, then maybe don't go for a puzzle map that has heavy command, crazy stuff that just blows people's minds, because you obviously don't know enough to really get to that level. So you're going to be limited by what you're able to do. And so that's the first thing to take into account. Number 2 is ideas. So you got to get an idea that fits your limitations. So let's say you don't have a lot of time, but you have a lot of resources and you have a lot of skills. So now you want to try and come up with an idea for a map that you can reasonably make quickly and maybe add some cool details to it that will make people enjoy it, but maybe just not as long of a map or not as crazy of a map. So that would be similar to a similar situation to when I made my Midnight Madness. I didn't have a lot of time. I had about a week to finish it up. I started working on it before, but I really didn't get a lot done before. So I had about a week to finish it up. So I couldn't make it super long. So I just made up for it by making it super kind of crazy and wacky and a lot of details. So that kind of was a good idea that fit my criteria. I couldn't make a map that has a huge city because I would have to build a huge city. I couldn't make a map that takes like 7 years because I didn't have the time to make something that big. So next would be another good idea. So maybe if you're not coming up with any ideas off the bat, you can try and go with some constraints. So constraints can typically help you with your creative process. For example, you can go to a word generator website and generate some random words, and maybe challenge yourself. Once you see 2 words that go pretty well for an adventure map, you can try and make an adventure map based around those words. So have those words in the map, not literally in the map, but in the theme of the map. What happens? So I can click generate random words, and until we find one that kind of makes sense. You could also generate a bunch of words that kind of make sense, write them down, and then randomly generate from that list of words that make sense to get an even more random than you're just kind of like looking for 2 and picking. So for example, if we find one that goes with, let's see, we haven't quite found a super good one. I mean, choke and door, that might be good. You could have some kind of horror map. Let's see, then we also have spin and rabbit possibly, but you just look for one that kind of shouts out to you when you read the words. You kind of think of an idea and you kind of play with that idea in your head. I actually used that for whatever this map is going to turn out to be. So I already have the idea for what we're going to do, and I used that random word generator, and I got 2 random words that I won't tell you because I want some of it to be a surprise of what we're doing, even though obviously you're going to see it as it comes along, but you're not going to know exactly what comes next. So then you want to ask yourself, what genre? Do you want to make a puzzle map? Do you want to make an adventure map? Do you want to make so what kind of genre? Horror map? Who knows? I mean, sometimes the idea starts out as one thing, but then it molds into another kind of genre because you as a person just thought that this seemed like a good route to go. So maybe you wanted it to be an adventure map, but then it turns out to be more of a horror map, or you wanted it to be a puzzle map, but then it turns more out to be an adventure map. It just has puzzles in it. But just try and pick a genre that you enjoy and try to work at that. Just whatever you want. And then my last tip for ideas is to start with the end in mind. You want to kind of know where things are going to go so that you can build your way to that. So you want to have a beginning and an end, and you want to kind of work your way towards that end. So try and, when you come up with an idea, think of where does this start and where does this end? And anywhere in between you can just build on as you're going, just go with it. But you got to have an end, because if you don't have an end already thought out, at least a little bit, then you're going to get lost along the way, and you're just going to be kind of confused as to what you should do next or when it should end. So number 3, so this is just the top 3 things for this episode. I'll go over some things in other episodes as well, is to get started. So how do you get started? We got to gather the resources. So let's say you found a world on Planet Minecraft that has all the builds you want, and you just want to use that world and adapt it. Well, go get that, check it out, inspect the worlds that you want to use that have the downloads. Granted that the person who provided the world gives you permissions to do it. This is just an example. Or, if you have already a thought of what kind of 3D models you'll need, maybe start working on some of those 3D models a little bit. See if you're able to do it, see if it looks good in game. And then you got to figure out what world type do you need. So for this one that I'm making, I wanted to have, I wanted a void, but then it would be annoying because I'd have to build a floor for everything. So I just went with a super flat that is 30 blocks high. So I changed it to have 30 blocks of dirt instead of 2. And that's pretty simple. And then also ask yourself, is this going to be multiplayer? Yes or no? So will this support multiplayer? It doesn't have to, but it can be a good thing because there's a lot of people that want to play with their friends. So maybe try and, when you're working on it, incorporate some commands that work for multiplayer. Even though this one is going to be very hard for me to do that, I will be incorporating it so it actually works for up to maybe 2, maybe 4 players. I can try and work with that. It's, at least for my idea, it can work, but it would be kind of annoying and also kind of break the immersion if you're playing with multiple people. So then the last thing would be just go for it, get started. So you can either build key locations. So if it's an adventure map, I would build the first building that they need to go to, or the first building they're in. Build important stuff, but not everything. You don't want to have everything built. It's good to split things up, go with some builds, do a little builds, then do a little commands, then do a little builds, do a little commands, do some textures, mix it up, mix it around, have some fun with it. So that's one thing you could just start at, or you could start with making some key mechanics and test them. So let's say you're making a puzzle map and you want to make a mechanic where you can push and pull blocks, even though SethBling already made something really cool for that. But anyway, you're trying to make something where you can push and pull blocks. So try and make the code required to push and pull a block. Maybe even try to make it so that you can have some modular stuff involved with it. So it's not like, oh, this block in this location can be push and pulled and that's it. Maybe try and design it so that if you put a command block down, it spawns a block and that block can always be pushed or pulled anywhere. Try and work with it to make it easier for you later on, and keep thinking of well, what can I do to help me later? Even though you're not making this with the intention of other people building your map, you are building your map, and the other person is you in the future. So make sure that you're doing things that is helpful to you in the future, because you're going to hate yourself when you get there if you don't at least have a little organization. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about right off the bat. I'm going to try and come up with a list of helpful topics for the video that kind of guide what we're doing in the video. And hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this format. The mic isn't necessarily that good right now. I'm just going to say that off the top. So I'm going to have some background music throughout the entire video because I'm currently not at my house, so I don't have my good recording stuff. But it will be better in a few later episodes. And I will try to release episodes not too close to each other. So you can expect maybe a week or 2 between each video, maybe a week. Depending on how much you guys like this, I'll just kind of go by ear. Anyway, so I'm gonna start building a starting house. So the idea for this, or at least I don't want to reveal too much, is we're gonna start in a regular house. So let's start by changing some game rules, because game rules are important. So we're gonna go keep inventory true. We're gonna go do mob spawning false, so it doesn't spawn mobs. Then do daylight cycle false, so we control the day. Then we're gonna do fire tick false, because we don't want fire to burn things at the moment, just in case. Mob griefing should be false, just so that creepers can't blow everything up. Then we're gonna switch it to peaceful mode, so that it despawns anything that's already in. Then we're going to go back to easy mode and do kill at E type equals not player. So this will kill everything but me, and then I'll do it again. So now there shouldn't be any more entities in my world, and I'm all good. And I can start right from the beginning. So what we got to do is build a house that you would expect, your average player to have. Something not too complicated, not too detailed, something they probably built in survival, but not too simple like a dirt house. So you want to try and give it a little class, but not too much class, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to need to probably use some logs, and I'm thinking some stone. So there we go. So now, one of the things that I do when I'm building is I build around the frames. What I mean by the frames is, so I know the size of the room, and then I try and generate a pattern, and then I try and copy that pattern. So for example, I know that these are gonna be at the corner, because that's what I want, okay? So these are at the corner, but then in between each of these posts, what am I gonna have? So let's make this entrance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, let's have a two-way door, like a double door. Then let's have another one of these, so it's just like a pattern. There's two of them. And then we'll put another frame at the corner. So now we have a nice pattern of post, 3 stone cobblestones with 2 wooden planks. So we're just going to try and maintain that pattern throughout the whole house and the entire build. So now we're gonna need a door. So let's go ahead and go with, I like this door. And we will go over how to make it so they can't open the door, because we don't want that. What kind of door can we use? We can either use this one, or we can use this one. Let's see, which one looks nicer? I like this oak one. Let's go with, the spruce one. So let's go with the spruce. But yeah, we're gonna go over how to lock these doors. There's a couple methods, and I'm sure that you're gonna wanna see that, because a lot of people request that. So we're gonna go over that. So now let's see. So let's give a little archway to the door. It's always good to leave a little like upside down staircase leading into a door like this, because it makes it feel like it's bigger. And you want to make the upside down staircase going into the side like that. You don't want to obviously you don't want to do that. But yeah, so that helps make it look like it's a little bit larger. And I want the inside of the room to be larger, because they're probably not going to go outside. Now let's put some cobblestone down. It's just because it's the frame. And there we go. So we have a nice little front door opening, and I'm probably going to fast forward through a lot of building if I ever just kind of get into a part where it's just kind of grindy. So we're just going to repeat that pattern. Now it doesn't always have to have a window, so eventually we can sometimes fill these, but it just still needs to kind of look like the pattern. So once we do a set of that, then we can do a pillar just like that. So then we do another set, and then we do a pillar. And having this method kind of helps you if you're not super good at building. It helps you stay with a theme. So at least your builds have some kind of theme to them that people can grasp onto when they're looking at it. They're like, oh, okay, this looks like it makes sense. This looks like somebody had an intention when they were building it. You don't want to go out of hand. So I'm thinking we have a front entrance, then we're gonna have a staircase going up, we're gonna have a second story, we're gonna have a first story. What kind of things would you have? We're just talking about a default house. I think we could have a storage room down here, and then in the upstairs we could have the beds, and that's pretty much it. Most houses in game aren't too crazy. One thought, this is just a thought, but I don't think I'm gonna do it. But one thought would be to go and copy PewDiePie's playthrough video building house, so you start in his place, but it's a little bit cluttered. So I don't know about that. That it sounds like it'd be crazy cool to have, but at the same time, it's not going to be helpful for what we're trying to do. All right, so now we're gonna just top it off with a layer of cobblestone, just like that, nice and topped off. Then we're gonna set the time to day so it's not dark. Okay. All right, so this is like a stair step going up. We can even go a little bit more thick with 2 C's, and then let's go ahead and do a fill. So /fill. So fill, if you don't know, makes you fill in blocks from one block to the other. It goes in between them. So here to here. So anything in between these 2 sets will be oak planks. And there you go, just like that. Fill is powerful, so be careful when you're using it. Be really careful where you put it. Game rule, do weather cycle, false. / weather, clear. There you go. So now it's clear weather. So yeah, so for this first episode, I'm probably going to be kind of talking a lot through the build and whatnot, but eventually I might go into in later episodes, I'm probably going to just go do a build and then show you what I have so far, because I will have a lot more to cover when I'm getting to the command aspect. And I'll probably will skip through some of the command stuff because it'll start to get very complicated. If it's too complicated, I won't explain it that detailed, just so that people can not fall asleep or something. But if it's reasonably complicated, I can go into like, oh, this is what I did to check this and stuff like that. Spruce. Okay, it's looking good. So, I mean, if you've made it this far, I forgot to mention this before, but this is in no ways intended to be like this is how you do it. Totally follow exactly what I do. I'm just giving a quick disclaimer. This is not follow what I do. This is what you need to do. You need to build exactly what I'm building. No, these are some steps and tips, and I'm just going to be giving commentary while I'm building. So you don't have to do, I don't want you to copy the thing I'm building right here, because I guess you can, I can't stop you, but I don't really want you to copy it. I want you to go make your own things, but I'm also just working on it so that I can kind of give you guys some input on what things that I do while I'm working on it. So that's just kind of my intention with this. I don't want it to be like it's not a kit. It's not like my usual videos where I show you how to do something and I want you to like copy these commands and try them yourself. It's not like that. So don't think that you're supposed to copy everything I'm building and you're pausing every second to try and do the same thing, because that was by no means my intention with this. Let's see, we can go with something a little fancier here. So we're gonna go with that. We can have like a nice big window. Just like that, okay? And that's fine. Okay, so now we just go with these across the top. We'll go up one more. And this is where we have to make the roof. The roof can be kind of difficult, depending on which one you're trying to make, what your design is, what your idea is. My roof is going to be pretty simple, just like everything here. Let's see. So we're gonna go with this method. So the method that I use for the roof is you put the stairs, right? And you just keep stair stepping up. Let's actually go with a more subtle increase actually. Let's not do stairs. Since this is such a wide building, let's go with half slabs. So we go with half slabs and we're just gonna use them like stairs. So we're just gonna go like that. And then next we would put a full block, and then we put a full block with a half slab, and then we put a full block with a full block, and then now that we only have 4 left, we're gonna just keep it the same. So then full block with a half slab, full block, half slab, just like that. Then we have to jut it out by 1 block, but when we jut it out, we're not gonna copy the full blocks. Then we're gonna put, actually that looks pretty nice. I think that's fine. Yeah, we'll just leave it like that. So there you go. So you just jut it out 1 extra to give it some volume, to give it some 3-dimensional look to it. And then we'll just copy this over here. So we just go like that, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 here. And there we go. Then 1 there, and there, and there, and there. And then we can just jut it out by 1 half slab. There we go. So now we just copy this along the way, all the way here. On the inside, I think I'll leave it open. I kind of like it. It looks nice to have this. So we'll just see how it looks once we're done. Luckily in 1.14.3 the lighting issues associated with like half slabs is fixed. So that's really cool. Let's see. What will be really cool is if we get some dynamic lighting going on. Like how I've made a in one of my maps I had like in Midnight Madness, the candle actually like has a light that follows you when you hold it. Most people don't pick up the candle though. It's really weird. And that's something else to talk about later on. Designing something so that it doesn't tell you what to do, but also has people kind of do it on purpose. I tried to incorporate that in Midnight Madness with a lot of things, but sometimes it didn't quite get across. For example, with the candle, people didn't think that, oh, I can pick up the candle. And that might have been my fault because I put other candles in other places, so it didn't stand out in any particular way. It really stood out when I didn't put the candles in other places. So one change would be probably putting like some kind of special particle over that candle, or maybe have some way to highlight that specific one as it being special. Maybe instead of putting the note on the table, I put the note next to the candle or something like that. But that's just stuff to look at later. Making it intuitive to the player. And that's very important in all maps. You want to make the map, you don't want to have a tutorial. Tutorials kind of, unless there's very few cases where you want a tutorial. You want to have it intuitive for the player so that they know, like, they kind of feel like they're smart and they're learning, but what you're doing is you're teaching them, but they don't realize that you're teaching them. So that's what you want to do, and it's kind of hard to get a good balance of teaching and discovering, and that's one of the biggest challenges involved with map making. But if you can pull off like a good design where people feel like they're learning how to work with your map without just like specifically being told to, if they feel like they're somehow coming up with the ideas themselves, it makes your overall like mechanics feel very good. Like they typically feel more natural to the player because they're not forced to do it. So that's something that you really want to try to go for with your map. You want to make it feel kind of natural. Like, oh, this makes sense. This comes from here. That makes sense. So now that I'm pretty much done with the build, now we just have to put details. So the overall build is done. This I'll just leave open. So we have chests. And another thing you want to do, and we'll go over this again later because I will reiterate a lot of stuff. What you want to do is you want to reward players. You want to reward players for being smart. You want to reward players for being clever and thinking outside of the box most of the time. So for example, it might be good to include some little secret items in here that could help later in the map if you grab them, but they're not like 100% necessary. So it would be cool if I added, for example, here we have a brewing table, a brewing stand with a cauldron and water. I could put contents in here that lets you brew a potion, and if they brew the potion, whatever they make, they're going to keep on them. So if they brew some nice potions, then they'll be able to use it later in the map, and it will help them. For example, they could make a water breathing potion, and then the water breathing potion could come in later because there's like a part where they have to go under the water, and it's possible to do the part without a water breathing potion, but man, it would be nice if you had one. And guess what? In the beginning, there was brewing stands just like that, and there was chests with stuff in them. So we'll add some stuff to those later once we figure out balance. Let's go to time set night. Okay, so now we just put a lantern here, and we'll put a lantern here. All right, that lights the place up. Now inside here, we can put, let's go with, where is that? Fence? Fence, where are you? Fence. Is it a block? No, it's redstone? No. Fence, here we go. Wow, I'm stupid. All right, so let's put just like that. All right, cool. It's a little nightlight. That's nice. Okay, so now one thing that I will tell you is going to happen, so hint, hint, wink, wink. So here we are going to be putting down some red beds, okay? So this is actually really important later, and you'll see eventually what, like, this is like crazy what I'm doing here. It's 1100 billion. Okay, so anyway, so we're gonna put some red beds, and I put 4 of them because now it's multiplayer friendly. Isn't that great? Because how many people does it take to actually sleep to skip today? How many people in your bed? How many? 4. Everybody, right? So if there's 4 players, then it'll work for multiplayer. Everybody has to sleep at the same time. So that just makes sense. But if your map doesn't make sense to do multiplayer, then by all means don't do it. It doesn't need to be multiplayer friendly, but I just find that mine makes sense because it involves beds, and I can put 4 people, and 4 people will just do it. So now let's go with light blue. I like blue. Blue is one of my blue is not one of my favorite colors. Blue is my favorite color. I will say it matter-of-factly. I will stand my ground. Blue is my favorite color. Especially this orchid is my favorite flower in the game. So yeah, that looks pretty nice. So let's go with that. And then let's have like a little rug at the beginning. Just because why not? And then let's go with a painting because paintings are cool. Who doesn't like paintings? So let's put a painting right here. Oh, that's way too large. That's way too large. Oh yeah, it does the largest that you're... With paintings, it does the largest possible. So you have to block it off if you want a smaller one. Oh, I don't want the same one. Hello? Okay. Oh, I got the other one. There we go. Running Man. All right, so... Oh, where'd my orchid go? Okay. So we have that. I kind of like this design. There we go. That looks nice. That looks like a little stand. The blue orchid house. I like it. Okay. And it doesn't let you use the note block. Okay, so what else can we have in this room? What's a practical thing? Let's think. What kind of thing would a player... We'll have this. Yes, that seems pretty practical. Okay. And then... What else is important? Oh, we could put a cartography table. Or a loom. Cartography table. Or we could put a loom. I think a loom fits. And we could put an ender chest. Let's put an ender chest. Let's put an ender chest right here. And you won't have anything in your ender chest. Oh, we could do that. We can make it so you get the items from this chest. These stuff back here. You don't keep your items, but if you put them in the ender chest, you can get them later. That might be cool. That might be cool. So let's put an ender chest there. And I think that's pretty much it. That looks pretty nice. I like it. All right, cool. Cool, I like it. It's nice. All right, so now we just put some carpet here and carpet here. Okay, I might have overdone it with the carpet, but who cares? So we got everything here. What can we put up here? This is kind of just like a for looks, but can we put something practical up here? We can put another little flower with an orchid. Let's get a flower pot back out. And let's put the flower with the orchid in the corner here. Okay, what else can we put? We could put a nice painting up here. And I guess we could put, let's see. We could put a cartography table. Put some barrels. Let's put a cartography table. Let's put a barrel here. And let's put a painting. They are, wow, the paintings are even number of blocks. That's nice. I hate that. What are we gonna do? Oh, there you go. Perfect. No, let's see. If we... No. Yes. That looks good. For some reason, the painting's just magically floating, but that's okay. Now, what else do we need? What else can we put up here? We can put a smithing table up here. That might look right, even though it doesn't have a purpose yet. Okay, so I think we're pretty detailed, and we have the room. So that's pretty much everything I'm going to do today. It was kind of a long episode because it's introductory. Hopefully you guys thought this was cool. And next episode, we're going to work on making outside scenery so that the players think that they're immersed in some kind of a real world rather than seeing a super flat. And then after we make outside scenery, we're going to lock things up, create doors, make this door so you can't open it. And the player's going to spawn like right here. Make the door so you can't open it. And also probably set up a way to check when everybody has slept in the bed. So that was pretty much it. Hopefully you guys like that. If you want to see more of this, smash the like button, or maybe not smash it, just lightly caress it. And let me know in the comments what kind of things that you would want to see, and I'll try to incorporate it in some way. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.